Hi, everyone. Welcome back to But What Will People Say? First, we're going to go through a little bit of housekeeping before we get the show started. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been super supportive of our first episode and the launch last week. It's been so positive, and keep the messages coming. I love hearing you guys kind of tell your stories and say that you can relate and that you really appreciated it, because it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing the goal of this podcast. If you want to listen to us, we are now officially on iTunes, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, and YouTube. On YouTube, just search BWWPS and we should come up. On social media, you can find me at Dishes by Dishes. So that's where you can message me, reach out, say hey. And if you or someone you know would like to be on the show, you can email BWWPSPodcast@gmail.com or reach out to me on my Instagram at Dishes by Dishes. So our guest today is going to be none other than my husband, Mike. And he's going to give you kind of his side of the story and his perspective and experience. And we hope you guys love it. So yeah, here's Mike. All right, we're live. Not really live, but recording.
Welcome to our living room.
It's literally our living room. Hi, honey.
Hello.
We're married.
I know.
That's weird.
Kind of.
All right, we can stop being 12-year-olds now.
I never thought I would have been married 4 years ago.
What did you think would happen 4 years ago?
4 years ago, I thought that exactly nothing. I didn't have any future forethought or anything.
That's true. I feel like we established that both of us were just kind of like, whatever, like we'll just hang out. It's cash.
I never really, thinking back on stuff, I never really consciously, maybe it's because I'm looking back on it, but I never had like a conscious thought about how future things were going to pan out, like in the situation. Like when we were like on our first date, my brain never went past the first date. And it was like that with everything in life, if I think back on it.
That's true. Forethought was not your thing.
Yeah, before like 2 or 3 years ago. If I really think back on it, I never thought about... Yeah, I didn't even... Because now, my brain is like 5 years in the future. And now, if I think back on it, I never had any sense of where anything was going. It just happened. Which is probably why...
I think that was good though. I think that's why it worked out, because we didn't like think too hard about it. Like neither of us were like, we're here to find the love of our life. We were just like, yeah, let's get coffee and then keep getting coffee for 5 years. And now we're just going to get coffee forever. Yeah,
I think that was one of the first questions. We did the 21 questions thing. You asked me if I believed that in love at first sight.
You don't.
First off, I didn't even, no. I said I believed in lust at first sight, but I don't believe in love at first sight.
That's true. I think most people think. How did you feel about being kept a secret? What did you think about that?
I kind of like, I grew up because what am I, third generation American?
Yeah, I think so. Your grandparents came over?
My grandparents were born in the Ukraine, and then my grandpa, who I never met, was born in, I think, like the Napoli, Amalfi Coast region of Italy. And then my grandma she's super Sicilian. Like she spoke Sicilian even up to the day she died. But I think she was born around here, like in central New Jersey. So, and then my parents were born here. So I guess that's second generation. But I think, my generation, because I guess I'm a millennial. Am I a late millennial or am I a millennial? I was born in 1990.
No, you're a millennial.
I was born in 1990. It's just sort of normal, like going up around people in different cultures. Yeah. So yeah, even though like the sort of high school that I was from, I never knew this thinking about it from the outside, but we were like perceived as a sort of like upper class, like white sort of high school, like a rich area, which I never really noticed, besides the fact that we had maybe like 4 or 5 black kids in the whole middle school, now that I think about it. But like we would interact with everybody, so it wasn't like...
That sounds horrible.
It's true.
But I feel like your school was more diverse than
No,
Richmond.
it was. Well, it was diverse because a lot of Indian people.
That's true.
Because it's like central New Jersey, like Edison and everything's all around here. So it wasn't. It was very like not. I didn't even think about it, like racial things. I didn't even think about it. Like growing up, like all my friends were lot of Chinese friends, like I have Indian friends like Sahil and like Niraj and Anshul and all these kids. But I never thought about it as they were a different race. They were just my friends. So I think that's my generation. So like bringing it back to like how I felt being like a secret, it wasn't, I just felt like that just like comes with the territory. Like that's just how it is. It never really bothered me.
And that's true. You're right. You actually never saw any of our relationship as a race thing. Like you were just like, this is a girl that I like and we hang out and that's it. Like it never went like, oh, this is my Indian girlfriend. And like, I feel like.
No, I did say that.
No, you said it, but like you didn't see me as like, oh, like she's from another culture and da da da. Like I feel like when we hung out, we were just two people getting to know each other, spending time together, and very little of it revolved around race. But like when I thought of you in my head, I feel like there was a lot of like, oh, he's American, he's not Indian. But I think that in my head was just like the constant pressure of like not dating an Indian guy, and in the back of my head knowing that like if this goes anywhere, I'm eventually gonna have to explain this to my parents.
Yeah, it's from stuff from
yeah. So it wasn't like a direct like in your face. It was more like in my head that like, is he gonna fit in if I were to bring him home one day?
Yeah, I never thought that. Never crossed my mind.
Yeah, because you brought me to meet your mom like 3 weeks later, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's what happened. You just come over, say hi.
Yeah, you're just like, "Yeah, this is my mom. This is Alex, my brother, like, and my dad."
I remember you had your elephant pants on. I remember this, and your black tank, and your blank. I think it was a black tank top. I remember coming in the door, and then my mom's like, "Bring a girl over." I'm like, "Yeah, she's gonna come. She's gonna say hi. Everybody's gonna be happy."
Literally, you're like, everyone's gonna get along.
Yeah, that's what I said So I said the first time I slept over. You gotta come over. Don't yell at her. Don't say anything. It's gonna be fine. But like I could do that. Like the whole like Russell Peters joke about like the difference between like Indian parents and American parents. That's like so that's true on such a deep level. Like the way I talk to my parents, like I talk to my parents like they're my friends.
Yeah,
like yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of
you like hang out with your parents.
But I think that's because my not my dad, but my mom especially had a really rough childhood. So she sort of like overcompensated with me and my brother. Like almost like to where she wanted us to be like very comfortable with everything, and she was very
she's very involved.
Yeah. She overly did it with it. But that's just like how she's reacting to her situation.
Yeah. And it's definitely a different dynamic. Like even my relationship with your mom is different than my relationship with my own mom. Like my mom and I have like a very like parent-child relationship. Like I don't, sit there and like talk about all my feelings on things with mom. I talk to my mom about like, oh, how I feel about my job, or like how things are going with you, and like, what's going on with the family. But then like with your mom, it's like, it's cool having that other relationship where it's like, oh, we like get our nails done together and we like talk about random stuff, and we'll like go see a movie together because, like we went to see Downton Abbey together, and like we didn't have to have Mike there. It was just like me hanging out with your mom. So it's cool having like a different dynamic. And like I get along with Michelle. Michelle is Mike's mom.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good relationship. And like I think a little bit is also like when you're in these situations, like you can't be so triggered all the time. Like our cultures are very different, and like Michelle, like Mike's mom is older, and like she doesn't know everything about Indian culture. So sometimes she'll just like say stuff that like could be perceived as like insensitive, but in reality she just like doesn't know. And you just laugh and we all move on.
She like saying she's older is like she's older. Like my mom's like 70, 71. So it's just that time period of them growing up. It's different. Like, and my grandparents too. Like it's being like saying it was like insensitive or racist. Like you sort of, if you were in her situation and you grew up in her generation, you would feel the same way as she did. So it's just a different time. It's just like sort of blending in. Like
and that's like, it's only on occasion though.
Yeah,
Like she just doesn't realize how she'll sound, but she's not at all trying to be like offensive or mean. She just like has no idea.
Yeah.
And then like you tell her and she's like, oh, okay. Like
She's generally oblivious sometimes about what she's doing or how she talks.
A little bit.
It's actually kind of funny.
It is funny. I mean, we get along just fine.
Yeah.
It's good.
She drives on the wrong side of the road sometimes, doesn't know.
I feel like you shouldn't announce that to the internet.
I mean, a lot of people have experienced that with her.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, so what's your favorite thing about Indian culture?
My favorite thing about Indian culture?
Yeah.
Huh. I like that it's very I like how there's a lot of not holidays, but like a lot of like cultural events.
Yeah. See, we don't have like in India, there's no separation of church and state.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
our culture is our religion essentially. Like I'm Hindu. And so like in India, that's the majority of the population. And so it's just like part of who we are, like the food and the holidays and the outfits. And there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. And like I always had like an interest, probably because I'm American, I had like an interest in like Indian things, like the Bhagavad Gita and like, yeah, like you know how like a lot of white people have like Asian tattoos. I don't, but like that whole like, but it's just because it's different. Like it's something like on the outside of like your reality.
Well, you've taken a lot of courses on the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I gave a lot of presentations on it in high school and college.
Yeah, I think you might actually know more about my religion than I do.
I definitely do. Yeah. I know more about it than you and your cousins.
Facts.
I do. Yeah, I do. Because like I'll say random stuff about it.
Yeah, like sometimes we'll have to explain a holiday, and like my cousins and I will be like, it's something like this, and he'll like tell you what the holiday is.
Yeah, but that also like with our wedding, I like did a lot of Googling because I do all like the tech geek stuff, like behind the scenes with everything, like this podcast, and then like making like when we did our brochures, and you're like your mom wrote down everything, and your uncle, and I would like Google like what everybody's name was, all the gods, like what they meant and what they did, and like watch different ceremonies and see how they differed.
Yeah,
but that's just me like I like to like learn a lot of random stuff.
Right, so it makes you super open-minded. So it made like you embracing our culture super easy. But what he's talking about is at our wedding, because we had obviously half of our guests were American or like Mike's family and didn't speak, Gujarati. Our wedding programs were essentially the entire ceremony and all of the steps broken down in English with like little pictures and stuff. It was cute. And we provided those on all of the seats for the guests so that they could kind of follow along and know what's going on and no one was lost, along with our priest also doing the ceremony in English. So
yeah, he was great.
Yeah, but Mike actually is the person who really pulled those brochures together. Like I gave him like a rough idea and then he went and like ran with it, because like I think you knew what questions needed to be answered in the brochure more than I did, because I take it for granted just like knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and it was also like sort of, even though we had like a quarter of the people was catering to like my side of the family, who has, I would say probably all of them, like none of them have ever been like in a cultural situation like that in my family. Like they're all very just like American people. Yeah. Like none of them, I had to tell like my godmother, and when they came, like when we did the Sangeet?
The Sangeet or the Mehndi?
Oh yeah, well yeah, the Mehndi, yeah. Like I'm like, yo guys, listen, this is gonna be a culture shock for you. I'm telling you right now. You probably have never experienced like another culture like this before, and it definitely was.
Yeah,
like,
but they were great about it.
Yeah, no, they were good. They're good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's already like the media presents Indian weddings as like they're super fun and there's lots of music and it's super colorful. So like American people are like, yeah, I heard Indian weddings are super fun. And like, I think your family was great. Like they came in with like open arms, and I told everyone before the wedding, I was like, listen, like it's not always going to make sense. Some of it, you're just going to have to like be like, yeah, awesome. And just keep going. Like sometimes we just can't explain everything that's happening. And like Indian weddings are like, they're not like American weddings. I feel like American weddings are like very elegant and proper and like subdued. And I feel like Indian weddings are like a full-blown riot. Like, And not in a bad way. Like, it's a rave. Like, everyone is lit for like 3 or 4 days, and the party just doesn't stop. Like, the dancing doesn't stop, the music doesn't stop, the clothes changing doesn't stop, the hair and makeup just keeps going. And it's a little exhausting, but it's so much fun, and there's just so much happening, and it's not always super orderly and precise and elegant, but it is so much fun. And I think our wedding was super fun.
Yeah, our wedding definitely went a 1,000 times better than I thought. It exceeded all my expectations for what I thought it was going to be. Everything went perfectly, like, on that day.
Yeah, we didn't have any like major breakdowns anywhere. And like everyone had a good time. And, you know, we had a more low key wedding because like obviously Mike doesn't have 10,000 family members the way I do.
I don't. I have.
So the wedding
none.
was like mostly my family and then our friends and then his family. And so I think we came out to around 200 people. And, you know, it was a little bit all over the place, but it was genuinely so much fun. And I think everyone had a good time.
Yeah, and the people on my side, they still talk about how it was like the most fun wedding they've ever been to. Because it's all like, I mean, some weddings I've been to, they literally lasted like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think like energetic is the word. They're very calm. They're very like, and the ceremony is much shorter. So it's, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, almost rules for the guests. I think with Indian weddings, like the guests can like literally do whatever they want. Like the ceremony is happening and like we had food being served in the back. So like people could like grab some drinks and like have some food and like hang out and socialize because like you're not expected to like quietly sit there and pay attention for a 2-hour ceremony.
Yeah, and even like the barat, like these people had no idea. Yo. They were like, "What is this?" They were just standing there behind the Jeep in the beginning, like, "What's going on here?" And then like that's all they talked about. Even my friends now are talking about how they want a barat at their American weddings. That's what they're saying. They're like, we have to do this again. Like, we can't go back.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna go back. We went through the black hole. Now we can't go back. That's what they talk about.
Yeah, it's well. The thing is, like, I feel like when I say American weddings, by the way, I'm talking about like the traditional
Catholic.
Like the
it's
white
all
dress.
Catholic. It's Catholic. Yeah.
There's no like groom's moment. I feel like they're very much about the bride and her moment and her entrance, but there's no moment where like we're just celebrating the groom. And so I think that it's nice in like an Indian wedding where the barat is really all about the groom and him coming in and having his moment, even though I took some of that moment away, but you know.
Yeah, you probably had to.
Yeah.
People it's like it's not a thing for like Americans. Like dancing is like not a thing.
You have the YMCA.
What's that?
I feel like you guys like choreographed dances.
No, it's not. It's all. I mean, the women do, but the men don't.
Really?
No, it's not because it's like I think it has to do.
I'm always in for the what is that? The shuffle, the electric slide. Yeah, that one's a good one.
Well, the only thing my mom has had to do is like shimmy her hips. I think it's just how being open like that, like sort of in like a vulnerable way is not a thing. For especially like for Western like masculine culture, I don't think it's a thing. Like being
That's
open
true.
and being very stoic.
Yeah, but I think like at our wedding, everyone was dancing.
No, they
so
were. That's why it was different. Like even people, my mom said, like my cousin, she's like, dude, I've never seen him dance before in my life. And then because I remember there's a video, somebody took like a Snapchat video or something of you like going up to him and doing like the screw the light bulb, pet the dog thing. And he was doing it for a second.
That's how I teach Bhangra to people. Screw the light bulb, pet the dog.
I remember he was in the lobby when we were doing our photo shoot for the couch one. And he was just like standing there. And I'm like, yo, Gary, like you could go. Like we're not going to hold you up like on this shuttle. I remember he was at the hotel.
Oh, yeah, he was waiting.
I was like, oh, just go. We told the shuttle guy, just go.
Yeah, I think that was one thing your family learned very quickly is Indian people are late to everything, even weddings. Like,
okay.
We were an hour late for the start of our ceremony, which like, again, it's fine. Like literally we all just kept going. And same thing with the reception. Like Mike and I actually missed the shuttle going and had to hitch a ride with our photographers, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I will never adjust to Indian Standard Time.
Yeah,
never.
that is Mike.
That is a huge,
punctual.
that is a huge no-no for me. Huge no-no.
I mean, I try my best to be ready on time. Kind of. But speaking of the barat.
Okay, what?
I said, speaking of the barat, like how I was saying I kind of stole your moment. It's because I showed up to the barat. I didn't like stay kind of in the back.
Yeah, that was
usually
good.
the bride's not there. Like it's all about the broom, and then so we let
The broom.
the broom,
Knight in shining thread.
the groom. And instead of coming in on a white horse, he came in on a white Jeep with all the doors taken off, and then he was dancing in the back because at that point it's just the bed of the Jeep and the the steel frame, and we decorated the whole thing with flowers and stuff.
That was a curse. It was a curse because now
It was so fun.
all I can think about is buying a Jeep.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get a Jeep eventually.
It's so nice.
But he had his moment, and then about like halfway through, me and all of my bridesmaids just kind of ran in, sunglasses on, and kind of took over the party. And I made everyone go to it. It wasn't like just the groom side. I made like my whole family and all of our guests. Like my parents were there dancing. Like everyone was there. Even my grandma was dancing in it. So instead of keeping that separate, the nice part about our wedding is we just combine everything, and that includes like all the days leading up to the wedding itself, like the mehndi, the santak, all of it was just done with both families together instead of separately like it's traditionally done. And I think that was really fun.
Yeah.
And our bridal parties had a good time too, because we had the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and the maid of honor and the best man with the matching outfits and all of that, and they pretty much came to everything, and I think everyone had a good time. Everyone got the mehndi done.
Oh, your bridesmaids went
ham.
Oh my goodness, they're people. Both of our families still talk about them.
Yeah,
they all went.
They stole the show.
Hardcore. Yeah, it was great.
They had so much fun.
It was fantastic.
So shout out to my bridesmaids. For
they were
it.
phenomenal.
Yeah, they looked beautiful.
Incredible.
Like you guys are dime pieces, and just had
they're
such
the
a
best.
fun time. Totally embraced every minute of it, from like the mehndi night to dancing to just everything. It was awesome. So you guys are awesome. If you're listening, love you. What else? I'm going through the questions that people submitted.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Loop around back here.
All right, looping back.
Least favorite thing, Indian Standard Time.
Okay.
My favorite thing, but probably,
Embrace it.
No, my favorite thing is probably, I don't know if this probably isn't even an Indian thing. It's how you have a big family.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
And most people I know don't really. Like most people who are just like standard American people, we don't really. But it was when I was younger, it was way bigger, but people are just dead. Like it was because we would have we would have Christmas and stuff, and we would have like 30, 40 people at the house, and now it's like
you
15.
guys were born super late to the game.
But I feel like with everything, yeah, that's true. We're like 20 years younger than like my mom's friends who have had kids. We're 20 years younger than their kids.
Mike and Alex are twins, by the way. So when I say both of you, that's what I mean.
Yeah, my mom had us when she was in her 40s. So like we're older than like most people. But it's nice like having being like with somebody who has a really big family like that. That's cool.
I think Indian people also consider like extended parts of their family like more like immediate family. I feel like American people, when you start getting into like the second and third cousins, they start being like, they're not really our family.
I don't even know my second cousins.
Exactly.
I don't know
Whereas,
any of my second cousins.
we consider like anyone we've ever met in our lives family.
Yeah, and even I have a speaking of this, I have a cousin who lives in the next block over. I didn't even know he lived there.
Wait, really?
And he's my age, and he went to Rutgers, and he's a media person. He does media stuff. He works for a media company.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either until my mom told me yesterday.
Literally
lives in the next. Yeah,
29.
he lives the next street over.
All right, getting back on track.
So,
We're
first
so
date.
good at this.
Anyway, so yeah, I know. I did tell my friends that I was going to see a quote nice Indian girl. That's what I told them, and I also said for like the week leading up to it, I said this is gonna go well. That's what I said. I kept telling myself. I don't know why.
You had a good feeling about it.
And it was like one of the only. No, it was the only one. It was the only like sort of Tinder era-esque date where like going into it, I was telling everybody that it was going to go well. I don't know why. I guess it's because of our texting.
What did we text?
I have no idea. Food?
Probably. That's the only thing I can talk about is food.
You made avocado toast?
I did. And you thought I was super healthy.
Yeah. I thought.
Mike is very much a fitness geek / tech nerd. He runs like ultra marathons and things, and I like sit on my couch at home.
Yep, this is true. But
I work out.
No, you do.
I work out. I just don't run 32 miles on the mountain for fun.
Yeah, I have to. It's just I have to do that, or I'll go crazy.
It's true. I have to like kick him out of the house.
I have to get my energy out, or I like just get grumpy.
Yep.
No, I never. I don't know. It was just an understanding thing because I think you said this on the last episode with Sahil. Like I just knew that's he would. I was his cover every time. Like every time he would go out with like Andrea. I was like his cover. Like his parents would like. Sometimes they would call him and I would be there. And they'd be like, you put Mike on phone. I'm like, I'm right here. They're like, oh wow, he is. Okay, hi Mike. Yeah.
Oh, Sahil's not lying to us.
Like 3
You're
times.
totally blowing up his spot right now.
What do you mean?
You're just like calling. I like tried not to say his name, and you're just like, yeah. So Sahil's the guy I was always covering for. So hi Sahil, if you're listening.
Wait, everybody knows Sahil.
I don't think all of our listeners know who he is, but now they do. He's awesome. Also, Nikki, you're great. Be my best friend.
Yeah. So I just sort of like knew that's how it was. So it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah, I definitely lucked out on that. There was pretty minimal explaining on that part. There was almost no pressure to be like, you need to introduce me to your parents now. Like you kind of let me make that decision on my own.
Yeah, but I think at the root of it, I think it was just because I cared about you. So like if I didn't, then I wouldn't want it to work out. I mean that's at the end of the day that's what it is. It doesn't matter like what the cultural situation is.
That's true, but
yeah,
I think it would be hard to understand if you didn't already experience it. Like, what do you mean you can't tell your parents? Like, aren't you an adult? Because there are times where like you would call me out when I'd be like, because I couldn't like go out super late. Like I'd have to be home by like 9:30, and like there were times when Mike was like, "You're an adult. Why does it matter when you get home?
Oh
like,
yeah,
can't you
yeah.
just tell them like you're going out."
That was just me being a douche.
No, but like
I have the douchey side.
But like you're right, and I think that's when like for me a lot of things changed. Mike is drinking coffee, so if you hear slurping, I apologize. Where I decided like you're right, I am an adult, and so like the tone I had with my parents being super like controlling of what I do and where I go and who I'm with, instead of asking them, because that was my whole life, was asking if I could do anything with my parents. You know, it was like, oh, can I go to the movies? Can I hang out with my friends? Can I do this? Can I do that? It just turned into, I'm doing this. Like, it was no longer a question. So I would just be like, oh, I'm going out tonight. Oh, I'm going to the movies tonight. I'm not eating dinner at home tonight. I didn't ask them. I just told them. And I think that it was empowering to, like, take the power back in that sense. Like, it was, even though it was just a change of words and, like, a change of the way I phrase things, it made all the difference because it almost took away the opportunity to say no. And like they would get mad and like they would say what they had to say, especially my dad. But like at least they knew like I already made the decision. Like, yeah, I'm going out tonight. Bye. And like you can say whatever you want, but like it's not a negotiation. It's just I'm just letting you know because I'm letting you know, and I will be on my way. Having a good night. But I did respect the coming home by like 9:30, 10, which like sucked because a lot of times as I got older, like this is me at the age of like 22, 23 being told when I have to be home. It sucked like not being able to go out with my friends and like stay out late and whatever. But I was like that I just didn't feel like putting up the fight and like constantly hearing like, oh, you're like a total degenerate. What are you doing with your life? You have no respect for yourself. You're a girl. Who are you? Blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, it gets to a point where you're like so tired of hearing about it and it wears you down and it really takes a toll on you. So like that was just one of those things where I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to get home at a reasonable hour just to keep them happy. Because if I started coming home at 1 a.m, I probably, oh, somebody's calling. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, I think changing the way I spoke to my parents at least gave me some control back. And I think you really helped shape that. There are a lot of moments where like, because I was so deep in the way I was raised that like literally Mike had to sometimes just call me out and be like, you're an adult, it's fine. Like not in like a mean way, but just like he like couldn't understand why I was always so worried about like what my parents thought or like what they would say or how I would get treated, because he was just like, he's like, you have a full-time job, you're an adult, like it's fine, they'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I would always say. I'm like, if you could support yourself like independently, it's not that big of a deal. Like at the end of the day, I can understand if it's like, I can understand if you have I don't know, if you have like no friends or no outside support or something, and like all you have is your, but then again, like if it's negative towards you, like it shouldn't be something that's, especially if you can control your situation, it shouldn't be something that's holding you back in any way. Especially if it's like, why would you want to live in an environment that's negative? It's not helping anything.
Yeah. And I think there's like a lot of like you feel terrible because your parents make you feel terrible for like going out late or dressing a certain way or hang out with certain people or deciding you want to have a boyfriend or live with your boyfriend before you're married, and they're like, this isn't how he raised you and this isn't how it's supposed to be. And I think there's so much like guilting you to a point where you literally feel like you're a bad person. And like, it was nice having you there to just remind me, like, you're not a bad person, you're an adult. Like, it's okay that you're not living the life that your parents had planned for you. And that's fine because you can make your own decisions, and, you know, they can say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, it is your life. And like, there's a point where like you have to be in charge of it and make your own decisions and for like what's best for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even like my decision to move out, like when I first moved out, you were just like, you're just going to do it. Like you have a job, you have savings, like you work full time, you have a degree, like there's no reason you can't do this. And your parents can say you can't do it all they want, but like you're just going to show them otherwise.
Yeah, you have control over your own life. Like you could.
Yeah. But like I think also just like reminding me to not feel bad about it. Like it's okay. It's okay if they're mad at you. It's okay if they think this about you. Like they'll just see in time that like they were wrong in what they thought, that you wouldn't be able to make it or take care of yourself. And I think a lot of Indian parents automatically go to like, if it's different than what they believe in, or if it's something they don't understand, it's automatically bad. It's automatically wrong, and you shouldn't be going down that road because it's not what their idea of right is.
It's a pre-internet attitude. That's just like an old school mentality. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like just remembering like, you know, they're automatically going to go down that path, and like, you know, you could take the time to try to explain it to them, and eventually they'll learn to understand it because they'll see you doing it. Like my mom was like, oh, like she moved out, and I moved first in with a friend in New York City, and, you know, not in New Jersey, like somewhat far from home, and I was fine. Everything was fine. You know, I didn't like die or fall apart or whatever they thought was going to happen. Yeah. And then when I went to get my own place afterwards in New Jersey, I didn't run it by my parents at all because I was already kind of moved out a little bit for a little while. And in that time while I was in the city, I was looking for my own kind of place to sign a lease and whatnot. And I didn't run it by my parents. I literally just like went around and I figured it out with one of my friends who was also apartment hunting. And we toured apartments and we looked at leases and renter's insurance, and we did the whole thing. And I didn't tell my mom until I got the key to my apartment. And I like shot her a picture. I was like, hey mom, got an apartment. And you know, because I didn't want my parents in my head or telling me that I couldn't do it or I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I was just like, nope, I'm making this decision. I'm doing it. And again, I will apologize later if it makes you that upset, mom. And that's what I did. Still in that apartment recording this podcast.
Yeah. I think that's what I tell like with you and like your friends or people who they sort of want to they want to find the path of least resistance, like in a situation like this. So they'll be like, I want, like, I'll find a guy or a girl, but I want them to be like the most whitewashed Indian person I can find. Like I want them to be like the Twinkie. And like I don't just so like my parents or like my situation is like easier.
Yeah.
And I that's like you're kind of like selling yourself short. But what like I always say is I'm just like I just tell them like at the end of the day it's like it's your life, so it's your decision. It's not your parents' decision. It's your life. Like I don't know how to like beat around the bush with that. Yeah. Like you're the one who's making the final choice here. Nobody else is making the choice for you.
I think it's hard for us to get out of the mindset of like our parents literally raising us that like you live under our roof and you follow our rules and we decide what happens. And when you're a girl, like you're, like we talked about in the last episode, like you're not an independent person. You are not an adult. You don't make your own decisions. Your parents decide what's best for you. And it's like so deep seated sometimes that like it takes someone like you from the outside to like literally drag us out of it and like slap us in the face and be like, nope, you're an adult. And it, like literally there were times where I had to take a step back and realize like, oh yeah, I am an adult. I actually can just sign a lease and my mom doesn't have to be there.
You are an adult.
Yeah, we made it. I don't feel like one most days, but
I never feel like an adult.
that's true.
I never do.
I feel like
I
we're both
enjoy
still
it.
Yeah,
I super enjoy it. I like having responsibility.
but you're right. Like we don't feel like adults.
No, I
But
don't think you ever do. I don't think you ever do. I think that's one of those things. It's like I think this is like a universal truth in life where when you're growing up and you see all these like older people and you think that they like have some sort of like overarching like authority over everything, and that you think that they like understand the world at like a more fundamental level, but then you realize that like they have no idea what the hell's going on either. Like like your parents nobody has an idea what's going on in life, and everybody's just sort of figuring it out day by day. But you don't realize that until you get older too. And
I think that's part of why, like, at least in like the South Asian community, our parents held on so strongly to everything they were taught in, you know, India or wherever they came from.
That's normal tribalism. That's normal. That's every culture.
So scientific.
Yeah, it's every culture.
Yeah, because like you said, like no one knows what's going on, so they're trying their best, and this is what they were taught was like the way to live your life and the best way to do it, and so they hold on to it and they try to put it on their kids. And you know, there are some really great things that we're taught, like, you know, finances. We're pretty good at that. But then there's things that, like, you could have just left behind. Like, we didn't have to bring that with us, too. Like, the way you treat women, or, like, there's still some parts of India that, like, think boys are, like, the epitome of what you want in kids, and, like, girls are, like, the side piece you didn't want to deal with, and, like, their property or something. And obviously, some of it is going away, but there's still a lot of places that still, like, think that. And there's a lot of old broken down ideas that like could just go, even like in like Indian like Hindu stories of like the gods and goddesses. Like there are some parts of these stories where you're like, what the fuck? Like I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, like the whole like Ram Sita situation, like he like banishes her and she's pregnant. Like I read that, I was like, what? Like let's rethink that situation, shall we? Like let's not just act like that's okay to do.
I mean, these stories were written thousands of years ago before people had any access to any information.
Right. And things, you know.
It's just an old story.
Yeah. I might be wrong. Double check that one on me, but I'm almost positive.
We do have Google.
Oh, we do. We can Google that one later. But yeah, anyway, carrying on. We sidetrack a lot on this podcast. It's okay. So we're going through questions that people submitted, so that's why this episode's a little bit all over. Somebody wanted to know about the traditional American wedding, if we had one, and how that went.
We did.
It
was awesome.
It was magical. We had a Christmas wedding.
Yep, and your aunt commented on, why you have no shoes on? When you came down. We did it in my house. My little house. We had a very, very small one for super immediate people. And yes. it was very nice.
Yeah, so what we did was...
And our friend was our spiritual advisor.
Yes, Chelsea, our best friend, is the one who legally married us. So our Indian wedding wasn't like the legal ceremony. It was like the cultural ceremony. But the American wedding, the really small one, it was like 30 people during... like 3 days before Christmas. The whole house was decorated with twinkle lights and it was really pretty. That's where we got legally married, and our best friend Chelsea officiated it, and we did the white dress and all of that, and it was really cute. It was really fun, and it was just nice, like super low key, just a handful of us, and she was great. Chelsea was awesome.
Yeah, she went on openministry.com and she registered as a spiritual warrior.
Yep, that's her official title. So if anyone needs to get married, call Chelsea.
If you want to really be a rebel, just go online and get ordained. You can marry somebody.
Yes, she got ordained. And we are actually not the only couple that she has.
No, yeah, we're not.
She's actually married a few couples. So if you need a ordained minister, Chelsea, call
her.
You
could do that. If you need like to get married immediately for financial reasons or whatnot, she's there.
Yeah. And we did that about 6 months before the actual wedding. So it wasn't like an immediate follow-up, which was nice because like it kind of broke it all down instead of having so much going on at once. What else?
Yeah, it was nice. 'Cause it was very like intimate. Everybody like at my house, and we did like sort of the ceremony thing, but we did it in
we
like
did
a
the
micro
vows,
scale. Yeah,
the
it was
rings.
very like on
Non-traditional.
yeah, non-formal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that.
It
It took all the pressure off and we were able to just have fun and enjoy it. And like, you know, the people closest to us were there. And it was nice. I think there's so much pressure to have these like over the top, extravagant weddings. And like, I'm not someone who is like built to be a bride. So like, I love that. I loved having a super low key wedding and not having to fuss about everything from like nail color to flowers to this and that. And I was just like, no, we were just there to have fun. And like I still did, like I got my hair and makeup done and like I had a day with my best friend, my maid of honor, and we got ready together. And I think it almost was like meaningful.
Yeah, it was very meaningful. Yeah. No, it was nice. And I mean, a wedding is like one day in like the beginning quarter of your life.
Right. And a wedding isn't going to give you a marriage.
Right. You have like, we have like 80 more years of our lives. Like why, I don't understand like why I would put so much emphasis on like
because
one
we're
day in the beginning of my life. It doesn't make any sense.
There's a whole wedding industry that tells you that this is supposed to be the best day of your life and it should be perfect and it should cost $20 million.
I think like, you know, the more expensive it is, it correlates higher with divorce. I'm pretty sure that there's like info on that. And marriage, yes. Like I think marriage is super important. And I was saying this with the priest when I first met the priest. That's why I was the priest was amazing. Marriage, it is a what do you say? Bilateral
agreement.
Yeah.
That was his phrase.
I think that. I think marriage is like the foundation of like a solid society is marriage. So I think it's like the best way. I think the most important thing. I don't know if there's any questions here about like kids and stuff, but I think the most important thing is to have like good human beings as kids, and like the best way for that to happen is to have like a strong like family structure, and I think like a marriage is like the foundation of that. So that's why I do think that marriage is like super important. Even though I never thought I was going to get married when I was younger, it like sort of like I understand that now, just as how much I've matured in the past 4 years. That's probably because of you too, because before I met you, I was like sort of all over the place, just playing video games all day and stuff.
I was just in school pretending to give a shit. So
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. It's fun because I like looking at it from that point of view. Like I was sort of in school, but I wasn't really. I didn't really have a goal. But like you were on the going to grad school, and you were like getting a master's degree, and you had like in a field where like seeing it now, that's sort of like there's not that much room for growth in it, but like your baseline starting is pretty legit. Like being an OT because you're a therapist. So like I always was of the point of view that like you had your shit figured out. That's what I always, whenever I saw people like in school, that's what I thought. I was like people like, oh wow, like I was like envious of people who were like in that position.
Yeah, I actually experienced that even with other guys I dated, where like they would be like, oh, like you actually have your shit figured out. Like, let's go da-da-da. And I like in my head I was like, what? I didn't feel like that. I felt like a hot mess, but also like I was in grad school and bored out of my brains. Yeah.
Well, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
And was not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. But it's like not like getting a master's degree and stuff like that. It's not a normal thing.
It's a privilege. Going to college is
going to college like I think like only 30% of the country has a college degree. It's not a normal thing to like go to college, and like it's kind of rare. I think we're in a bubble here because we're like in the New York area. Yeah. So I think we're in a little bubble, but like. It's funny how like
there's lots of other paths that we can explore.
And my perception of things when I was that age was different. When I met you, I was 25. Wow. Yeah. I showed up on our first date. I had a tank top that was bleach stained with jeans that were ripped, but I like hid the rips, and I had Converses on. I had a nice haircut, I guess. That's it. That was my first date. Going back to the beginning,
a lot of effort there, honey.
I didn't have any perception of like how you would interpret that as like you don't show up to a first date with a tank top. I didn't think that. I was like, oh, I'm a human being. I'm just gonna come here and we're gonna talk. So that's how I answered it.
Yeah, I don't know how you got a second date sometimes.
I do.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How?
Love.
I don't know about love at first sight. I feel like, but I did like you. I did. You were very sweet. And like, you were really nice.
I remember your smile.
Oh, so cute.
When you asked me what coffee I was ordering.
I did. I asked him what he was
We went to
ordering.
an Indian coffee shop for our first date.
They're not Indian.
The guy's Indian. Sahil knows the guy. He worked with him at J&J.
The one guy, I think his partner is just like a regular.
Probably. He's probably the financier. And he's just like sitting there chilling.
I have no idea, but our first date was at Hidden Grounds in New Brunswick, and Mike actually proposed there as well.
Yeah.
Yep. He got the whole coffee shop in on it.
Yeah, okay. If you have Claire on, you could talk about that because I planned that with her.
Oh yeah, Claire.
Yeah.
We're gonna have my maid of honor on.
You could do more wedding talk about that.
Yeah, she'll do all the wedding talk. But if you are in like the New Jersey area and you pop by any of the Hidden Grounds coffee shops, our wedding pictures are actually in. There's an Elk and Elm Studio like promotional book. Like it's just a wedding album picture thingy they did, and Elk and Elm is our photographer, and they're promoting at all of the Hidden Grounds coffee shops. So if you pop into one of them, you will probably see some of our wedding pictures. But yeah, that was kind of cool. I didn't know they were doing that. We like randomly stumbled upon it.
Yeah, that was like a
fun surprise.
Yeah, how I managed that too. Like the guy who was working there, he just mentioned it that one of the people working there was like a photographer. So that's how I met Justin. Yeah, and then that's how we met our other photographers, and then that's how we met the video dude, Phil.
Oh, Phil.
Yeah, so that's how everything like just sort of worked out like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Justin and Tristan from Elk and Elm Studios.
Yeah.
They're the best. It's weird. We're friends with our photographers. It's not weird, actually.
No, it's not weird. You should do that. It's good.
You should be friends with them. Check them out. Other questions we got. Do people talk to you in their own language, assuming you'll pick up another language? I guess like they mean like, do people just speak Gujarati to you and expect you to like magically understand it?
No, only your dad.
Yeah,
that's it. He's the only person who'll just do it, and I'm like, I don't understand.
That's true. And you randomly blurt out words in Gujarati.
Oh, Bhagwan.
Oh, Bhagwan.
Well, I've worked with like Indian people forever. Like my first job in high school was Dunkin' Donuts. And then I worked at a liquor store, and they were both owned and operated by Indian people. So, like, I would just hear them talk on the phone all day, and then they would always ask me if I wanted to date an Indian girl. Do I want to get married to an Indian girl? That's what they would always ask me.
Well, you did.
I actually did. And then on one of our first dates, I brought you one of our, like, in the first month. Remember, I brought you into the liquor store? I was like, this is the Indian girl I'm dating.
Oh, yeah. And then we actually saw him.
Yeah, Dax. Yeah, we saw him at Garba.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike's been to Garba. How'd you like it?
It was really crowded.
It was.
It was too crowded.
Yeah, Expo has completely...
way too crowded.
Yeah, it's just gotten out of hand.
It was fun, though.
Yeah, we'll go to a smaller one next year.
It was fun. Yeah. I was, there's maybe one other white person out of
Alex?
like 10,000 people. Yeah.
Your brother?
I gotta say, though, that was not the most... That was not the most non-white, I don't know how to say it, non-diverse environment I've been in.
Really?
Yeah. Tyler Perry, Prudential Center. Me and my mom, the whole Prudential Center, only white people in the whole place.
You and
that
your
was
mom.
It. Yeah, that was it. But my mom would do that because she likes those like Medea things.
So good. Shout out to Michelle.
What was the question?
If people speak to you in other languages.
No, but everybody does that. Like, because people, if you just like, everybody does that. Like, you have in your mind, you think that like your language is like the language. So people.
That's true.
Yeah,
like how people would speak to like my grandma in English and.
Your grandma, yeah, but your grandma doesn't speak English, so it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was speaking to Kim for like 5 minutes. Like Kim was speaking to her. I think it was at the Mindy, and then your grandma just turns to her and goes, "No English." After like 5 minutes of talking, she started laughing.
Amazing. Another question we got was, do you ever feel out of place going to Gujarati functions, dinners with family? So functions are like events. Or like dinner with my family, which is always way too many people.
I don't feel out of place when I'm with your family. Not at all.
I think you've acclimated very well into that.
I don't. I don't feel.
I think again, like you don't see us as like, oh, this is her Indian
Yeah,
family.
I
You're
don't.
just like, this is her family.
I don't,
we
but I
hang
think
out.
that's just me. Like I think because I could see if like you're the because growing up like in America, like that's how like you felt. Like yeah, so like it's like, but no, I just don't see it like that because like everybody's like. Even when I wasn't married to you, even when you weren't like sort of quote unquote part of the family yet, I never felt out of place. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, my family's also been very like open.
Yeah, they're very open. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, we love Mike. He's great. And all my like, I have so many cousins.
Oh yeah, your cousins are. Yeah.
That like, there's no room for like people to be negative because they'll just be like, you're gonna get over it. It's not a big deal. And like, they're younger. I'm the oldest, so I'm the first one to like really get married of the bunch of us here, and they're all like high school, college age. So like, they're a whole other generation that just like doesn't care what their parents think about what they do. Actually, we'll talk about that in another episode, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, your cousin, you're paving the way here. You're being the light. Your cousins were there when we did the recon mission with your mom to introduce, well, not introduce me to her, but
the intervention to tell her.
Yeah, even though I was like, go to your house a bunch of times. I went to your house the day after I got Anna.
Anna is our dog.
Side note, Anna is my Shih Tzu.
We love her.
She's my daughter. I love Anna.
Okay. Next question we got.
I thought that your dad was your uncle.
My dad?
I thought that your dad and I think his brother. Remember when I was helping you move?
Oh, my mom's brother-in-law.
I switched them. I had them switched in my head. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. What else do we get? What was your favorite part about having an Indian wedding? Was it the mehndi? Mike got mehndi at our mehndi night.
Oh, well, my favorite part of the wedding was the dance.
Oh yeah,
it was a choreographed dance. That was my favorite part.
Yeah, we had a big choreographed group dance. It was like 15 minutes long.
That was my favorite part of it. Yeah,
it was super fun.
Yeah,
for the reception. I like that too. That was a surprise that you were in it. So
I don't know. I don't know how you didn't know that.
Mike made me. So I really wanted Mike to be in the group dance, and he was like, "No, I can't dance. Like, I don't want to be in it. Like, I'm not a good dancer or whatever."
Yep.
And I was really upset. I was like, "But I really want you to." And then he actually surprised me at the reception, and like my cousins had already taught him the steps to like certain segments of it, and he like hopped in and did it. It was super exciting.
You were in the house with us when I was practicing.
Right,
I don't know
but
how you
I was
didn't
in
know
the
this.
basement practicing, and then like apparently the two of them would go upstairs, and while the two downstairs were teaching me the steps, the other two were upstairs teaching you your steps, and I had no idea.
And if you ever walked in, you would just say that I was filling in for Bubney or something. I would just say that.
I'm oblivious.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I'd be like, no, I'm filling in for whoever. I'm filling in for somebody. I don't know how you didn't know that. That was fun. And I guess it's just like how it's probably just because it's an older culture, but it has like a deeper tradition. The Indian wedding.
Yeah.
It's like a deeper.
There's a lot of like religion in it, or like stories and things. I guess I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't know everything about an Indian wedding. Like I don't know all like the deets. I kind of just do what the priest says, and we follow those directions.
Yeah, but I feel like that's how most people are with all weddings.
Yeah.
Just follow people.
What are your thoughts about Disha's family members? I feel like we've established they're pretty great. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all get along really well. So.
Yeah, no, they're super nice, and super open. Even in the beginning, they're super open.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a point where they were like, we don't know about.
No, they were all like very welcoming, and I remember like was it Christmas? Was the first time I went to like a family event, and your uncles were all like hyper explaining everything to me.
I don't remember.
I think it was Christmas. I think the Christmas was the first.
Oh yeah, maybe.
The one Christmas was, and they were like really like overly explaining everything to me, all the food and everything, and then they would explain all the tradition. They still do it.
Yeah.
Hey, your uncle still does it. Like when we went with Diwali last week.
They're so worried about making him feel welcome.
Yeah, and with me, like I can't sit in the floor, so like that's like a huge thing. Or like they all like all of them, and then your grandma's the only one who goes, leave him alone. Like and
Yeah.
Like, you want a chair? You want a chair? You okay? I'm like, no, I'm okay. Okay. You want a chair? You want a chair? Like,
Yeah, Mike has a hard time sitting on the floor, so everyone gets in a giant fuss about it. Like, oh, like, do you want a table? Do you want to sit here? Do you need a pillow? Blah, blah. And my grandma's like, can you just let him live?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because when I introduced you, so once I introduced Mike to my family, like, to my mom, my whole family knew, like, my aunts and uncles and everyone. But, like, everyone would just kind of, like, call him Mike or whatever. And then my grandma is the only person who'd be like, so how's your boyfriend? Like, she would, in Gujarati, ask how you were, but like, at the tail end, she would just be like, boyfriend. And I'm like, you're the only person who refers to him as my boyfriend. Everyone else just kind of like dodges the word.
Yeah.
It was kind of hilarious because that was the best part. Like, my grandma was so great because she was just like, do whatever makes you happy. Don't worry about having kids right away. Like, go to school, get your master's, like, do whatever. Even like before I introduced Mike, like, she was always like, do what you have to do. Don't rush into anything. Do what makes you happy. Which was nice hearing it from, like, someone from the older generation.
Well, I mean, she also has, like, way more years of life experience on her than anybody else, so.
Yeah, I think she sorted out her priorities.
She's the one who you probably should take advice from. She's experienced probably almost everything. She's, like, the matriarch of the family.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from her.
She does. My grandma has like a million like grandkids and great grandkids and all of it. And it's crazy because she got married when she was like 16, I think. And she was married to my grandpa till like the day he died. And that's so crazy. Like 16, that's a decade before I got married.
I think my grandparents got married when they were like 17 or 18. And then they were married until they both died at like 90, 91.
Yeah. That's so insane to think about.
Yeah. They were married for like 70 years.
Yeah.
Is it a long time?
99 years. That's what you get.
It's not that long.
Then I get back in the game. 99 years. You're down one.
But by the time our kids will probably live to over 100, probably. With
You
science.
think so?
With science, probably.
Yeah, but we're like destroying our planet.
Yeah, but the kids are just. I mean, our planet's gonna go away in like 4 billion years. I mean, the kids have time. They got time to grow and stuff. It's a long time from now.
That's true. Speaking of kids.
What? Anna.
Anna's our child. Our dog. No, we'll eventually have kids, and I guess that's something that has come up a few times in the questions is like about raising kids and all of that and religion and how do you sort that out, which like it's hard to talk about because like we don't have kids now, but I feel like we've kind of established that like I definitely want them to like still speak Gujarati and like know about Indian culture.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be as like hyper down their throat about it as the way I was raised, because for me like it was like suffocating.
And there's no, we're in America now, so there's no need for it.
Yeah.
And also like neither of us are religious.
Yeah.
I see the value of like the moral aspect of religion and the culture of the stories, but there's like no reason to be like hyper conservative with them in any sense, especially like in the world nowadays.
Yeah. And I think we'll like let them make their own decision on what everything. Religion is to them. Yeah. Because like, like you said, neither of us are super religious. Like, I think with being Indian, it's hard to say you're not religious because it's such a part of our culture with like the holidays and all of that stuff. But yeah, like I definitely want to pass down all of the values and all that stuff, but I'm not going to like force them to do anything.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. And I want to have like a more like open and comfortable relationship with our kids than like I did with mine.
Yeah, you'll go my mom's route.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that you'll still be like,
I'm still going to expect them to do well in school.
Yeah, I'm going to be the one where I'm like, don't tell mommy, but I got you a candy bar and now we're going to go somewhere. We're going to go pet the llamas or something. I don't think
I'd be against petting the llamas. And first of all, if anyone is going to be against candy bars, Michael, it's
you.
Yeah,
my kids.
Let's not act like you're giving our
I'm not poisoning my kids when they're younger. Yeah, you're going to be the one slipping them cookies.
Cupcakes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, we're going to be decorating cupcakes all the time. Well, no, because then they learn that it's a special treat, and that it's like I don't eat anything I bake.
Yeah, no. Growing up, like one of our family, like really good family friends, they were Muslim and Jewish, and their mom never let them eat shitty food growing up, and that they would just go balls deep, like when they weren't around their parents.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't, like, that's like a rebellious attitude.
And I think that's happens.
Probably the same thing with like you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was raised like, you can't drink, you can't party, you can't do this. Yeah. I got to college and just shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was drunk all the time. It was bad.
Yeah. See, that's
I pulled it.
I wasn't.
I literally went to the opposite extreme. And like, now I'm boring. I don't really drink at all. But when I went to college, I like partied all the time. I always went out, like frat parties, literally Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also, we don't drink a lot, but like we don't really need like an escapism. Like with life, like I'm pretty like comfortable like where I am right now, so I don't feel the need. I think
drinking is such a social thing in our culture.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge, and it's marketed.
So like people feel like,
everywhere.
if I don't drink, like I won't have a social life. But
it's not.
Take it from someone who basically doesn't drink. I do. I occasionally
we'll
will
have some
drink
sometimes. Yeah, but
we're
not, like,
probably like maybe once a month.
Yeah.
And I'll have like a drink.
Yeah, I'm too health conscious.
And it doesn't impact your social life, guys. Like you
can
just go out with your friends.
It's actually better. It's better because like you're sharper. You're mentally sharper, and you don't feel like shit for the next day or two.
Exciting.
And you like feel like on point when you're around people. When
you're
like,
can be present
it's
with
like
people.
It's like a very weird feeling that you don't really know unless like you're present. That's what it is. Yeah, it's cool.
It's not a big deal if you choose to like not drink or like drink minimally.
Yeah, or just have coffee or something.
Yeah, or just hang out. Whatever, get a fun non-alcoholic drink. They actually have those now. That's becoming very mainstream, at least in the restaurants around us, where they have like the drinks menu and then they'll have a whole section of like fun drinks that are not alcoholic, which is kind of nice. So you're not like just drinking water or Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Religion. Again, we're not super religious. And kids, we've talked about. I want like 1 million kids.
Nope. Maybe 3 daughters.
3 kids. 2 girls and a boy. And 3 dogs.
50 dogs and maybe like 2 daughters would be cool.
Yeah, I would have all girls if it were up to me.
I'm the only person in my friend group that wants daughters. In my guy friend group. that wants daughters. They all want boys cuz they're like daughters. Girl, and then like guys are gonna hit on them, and then all this. I'm gonna be super overprotective of them, dude. Like, bro, like guys like girls. Like that's what are you talking about? That's life.
Yep.
Like guys like girls, and they're gonna hang out and they're gonna do stuff. That's just life. That's
and or like if they like boys or they like girls or whatever, like people are gonna hit on them.
Yeah, okay. That's what it is.
You're just gonna have to deal with that if you have kids.
We just gotta be like you gotta.
I just want it to be open enough where they don't lie to us about it. Like I don't want my kids to keep their boyfriend or girlfriend a secret.
Because like with my mom, like me and my brother, like we tell my mom everything. So it's like we have like an open relationship with them. That definitely helps. It helps with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like my one. That's like my, even though I don't have kids, I remember you asked me like a month ago, like what my ultimate goal in life is. My ultimate goal.
Or I think I asked you what success was to you.
Oh yeah, no. My ultimate meaning of success for me is to raise good human beings. That'd be the ultimate success in my life. If I like had my kids were like good people. That's my overarching success principle.
So cute.
I mean, that's what it would be. And maybe to run like 1,000-mile race, maybe.
I don't think that's a thing.
No, but they're making a 500 one next year.
Those people are gonna die.
They're not.
They do the 200-mile races, and it's a little much.
No, 200's easy now. People do them. It's like a 200's the new 100.
Never hang out with an ultramarathon runner, by the way. They act like this is okay or normal. I mean, it's great. It's like amazing to see people do this, but like you're hallucinating on the way there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Good times.
It's like 4 days of not sleeping and like walking and like not hurting yourself.
No, it's phenomenal. It's a good time.
We're going to have to redefine fun for you.
Yeah. I find meaning through suffering.
Yeah, your life wasn't hard enough.
Absolutely right. That's right.
I can't. We had such different upbringing that sometimes this happens where
we're
like,
I don't realize how like great my life was until like I've matured so much in the past like 4 years. That that like I never really like looked at like stuff like on a larger scale. Like my life. I had a really good childhood.
Yeah, it's pretty stable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, lived in the same house his whole life.
Yeah.
Same school district. Meanwhile, I moved like a gazillion times.
I had a lot of friends. I never. I mean,
Your parents are cool.
Yeah, I don't have any health problems at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have none. No mental health problems, no physical health problems, no nothing.
Yeah, I think the exercise helps that.
Definitely, and my diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to say that like being raised in an Indian household was such a negative experience. Like there's lots of amazing
it's not negative
things.
at all. Yeah.
It's just very different.
It's not
there's
negative,
different values,
but like
and
you're
pressures.
You're also like you're not in India anymore. So like
Yes.
but it's not an Indian thing. Like this whole podcast and this whole idea like that, like what you're doing here with this podcast and like helping like these women out. It's not like just an Indian thing. Like this is an immigrant thing. And then now that you're first generation or whatever American, it's just the clash. It happens with every culture. Like it probably happened to even a stronger sense. Like when like people first immigrated here, like the Irish and like the Catholics and like the Protestants and like Irish and like Italian people, they were super hardcore with like not marrying outside of like, you got like Irish people and Catholic people can't marry. It's just a normal first generation thing. And then once stuff starts mixing, it's just how everything sort of evens out. And then people just like get to a baseline where it's okay. Cause like we grew up living with a bunch of different races and living with a bunch of different people. And now it's like a normal thing. Like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't even think about it as like a race thing. Like me hanging out with my friends, like my Chinese
Yeah, they're
friends.
just your friends.
Yeah,
I
I think it's just a normal thing when people are like come from a very like traditional culture where everything's the same and it's very like mono in the culture, and then they just come someplace where it's like a melting pot, like the U.S., where it's just I think it's just how it is. It's just part of life. So it's just like a learning experience. Because like our kids, it's gonna be totally different. Like our kids, it's gonna be, and imagine like our kids, everybody's gonna be mixed. Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely not going to be like the only mixed kids in the
No,
neighborhood.
everybody is. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
But it's nice being into an Indian culture.
Yeah, we're a fun bunch.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to wrap this up. So any final words of wisdom?
No.
No.
Not really. I just like, to me it's just like it's like it's your life, so it's your choice.
There you go.
That's just how I think about it.
It's your life. It's your choice. Do you.
Yeah.
That's our advice.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Bye.